What is going on, guys? Today I bring you round 4 of Open Game das Fitas, and this round was played on the third day of the tournament, and I got paired up against Lucas Gonçalves, a 1950 rated player. Yeah, just a very strong player. I actually played him once before this encounter here. I played him last summer and I got absolutely crushed in like 20 something moves with the black pieces as well. And yeah, I wanted to get some revenge because yeah, I don't like getting destroyed like that. So let's see. My opponent had the white pieces and he started with e4. Went for the Sicilian. That's what I was playing that tournament. So knight f3, d6, d4, takes, knight f6, knight c3, and now there, after this couple of moves, this is the open Sicilian. Now I have a couple of options. I can play a6 that I've played once, the Najdorf. I can play knight c6, the classical. I can play e6. I guess this is like the Scheveningen, and I can play what I played in the game, which is g6, the dragon variation. Definitely my favorite of all the open Sicilians for black, the dragon variation. Okay, here my opponent played bishop e3, bishop g7, f3, knight c6, queen d2, castles, and here bishop e2. This is all pretty standard, although bishop e2 it's kind of a sideline. Before the match I saw what my opponent played because he has his chess.com account public, so I kind of sneaked into his account to see what he played, and he played this bishop e2, and this is not really the most critical option. Normally here white castles, and or plays the bishop c4 line. So yeah, bishop e2 it's a little bit more modest and doesn't pose as many problems to black as the other line. So here you just break with d5. It's really important to get this move in, and yeah, my opponent just castled, took on e4. Yeah, there's gonna be a huge liquidation of pieces right now. So after I took on e4, my opponent took on c6, took on d2 with check, rook takes, pawn takes knight, and here my opponent took with the f pawn on e4. My opponent could also take with the knight. It wouldn't change much, but okay, my opponent took with the pawn, and here I played knight g4. It's funny because this was all my preparation, but during the game I was kind of bluffing. I was trying to look like I really didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to, do some acting, some theatrical, poses. Some like, I was like, I don't know. I was like doing some, poker face, because I didn't really want him to think that I was in a complete prep, because maybe that would be put him a little bit more alert. I wanted him to think that, okay, this guy just doesn't know what he's doing. I'm just gonna play whatever and crush him, and maybe I would catch him in a blunder or something like that. But yeah, it didn't really work out. My acting. He just played normal moves. So yeah, here he took on g4, and now a very important move is to take first on c3. Now my opponent doesn't really have time to capture on c8 because I capture on d2 with check, so he's forced to take the bishop and damage his structure, and now I take the bishop on g4, and yeah, we reach this position where we have opposite colored bishops. Like my opponent has double pawns here, an isolated pawn on e4. Yeah, I guess he has better control over the d file, but yeah, his structure is slightly worse, so it's just a complete equal position. And here after bishop c5, the final move of my preparation was rook fb8, a very nice move. Yeah, just completely not caring about this pawn, because if my pawn takes here on e7, I can play rook e8, and I'm gonna pick up the e4 pawn, so I'll be completely fine. Note that my opponent can't really guard this bishop with the rook because of this detail right here. So yeah, I mean, you know, I just played rook fb8 and I was like, okay, mission accomplished. I got a perfectly playable and nice position with black against my opponent here, which is like 300 points higher than me. And yeah, it's nice. So I was pretty comfortable, although I knew, even though this position was equal, I knew that my opponent was gonna try his best to win it, as he should. And yeah, I was just just standing up, just walking through the playing hall. I was also like, I mean, I'm just gonna get some coffee. This is gonna be a long day, double round, and yeah. So I just stood up, grabbed the coffee, blah blah blah. Okay, rook d4 here. I played king f8, trying to bring the king closer to the d file here. My opponent played a4, I played a5. I didn't want him to just run that pawn down the board. Here my opponent played h3, I went back to e6. Super natural and good move. Here my opponent played e5, which, okay, I mean, didn't really understand it, but okay, it's a move. Here I played rook b7, which I feel like it's a nice plan. I'm just trying to double on the b file and use this. Here my opponent plays bishop a3, and apparently here bishop a3 is quite a big mistake that gives me some advantage, which during the game I totally didn't think that bishop a3 was a mistake. And here the way to punish bishop a3 is c5, which, I mean, what? This feels very weird, but yeah, maybe it actually makes sense. The idea is that if white captures here on c5, you have rook c8, with the idea that after bishop a3 only move, you have rook takes on c3. And yeah, this is quite an improvement. Even though you undoubled white's pawns here after something like bishop b2, you can go back to c6, and you're gonna have a lot of pressure over the c2 pawn. You also got rid of your weakness on c6, so yeah, this is actually very good for black. But I was in drawing mode. I wasn't even thinking of getting an advantage at all. I just played rook b8, the most natural move ever, and my opponent played king d2, improving his king and also leaving the first rank. Here I played king e8, just making sure that my king is also playing some role in the game. Here my opponent played rook hd1, and I just offered a rook trade, and my opponent played rook c1, which I felt like it was a very weird move, but I think it's kind of nice because it asks me a question: do you want to trade the rooks? Do you want to go back? And a part of me felt like the best move would probably be to bring the rook back to b7, but at the same time, I was like, I mean, trading the rooks kind of simplifies the game, and maybe it will be easier to draw that way. So I was like, okay, I mean, taking the rook can't be a big blunder, like, come on. So I just took on c1, my opponent took back with the king, and I played h5, just trying to make moves, honestly. H5 gaining some space, I guess. Here my opponent played c4, and I played rook d8, I mean, just literally trying to get a draw as quickly as I could. And here my opponent played rook h4, which I felt like was a very tricky move, and this is where I got my first big think of the game. And yeah, the problem here is that I felt like my opponent was threatening g4 at some point and infiltrate through the back rank here, and that didn't really please me that much. I wasn't really sure what I should do. You know, I thought about the simple, for example, king d7, but for some reason I didn't really like this. I don't know if it was because of g4 actually. Although, yeah, I just wasn't really sure about king d7. And also I felt like, for example, rook d7, I thought it was a big blunder because of g4. And here I thought that I was in big trouble because if I take, I get checkmated, right? But actually here even like rook d7 is completely fine, because if my opponent plays g4, he's actually the one who's gonna be in trouble after something like rook d4, because now I'm attacking c4. My opponent can't really take here because the rook is undefended. So yeah, there was actually no threat. Even, okay, I mean, if I played like king f8, I think like, yeah, I mean, I thought that g4 would be quite a problem, but the same idea, just rook d4. I didn't really understand that I could just play rook d4. I didn't see this idea at all. After thinking for a while, I just played rook c8, and my idea was that, okay, if g4, here I can probably just take, and if he gives me a check here, I can play something like king d7, and there's no problems at all, I thought. So okay, like, yeah, it's just equal. So okay, I played rook c8, and my opponent played bishop c5. So okay, not going for g4 immediately. And here I played king d7, which I don't know if it was really necessary. Again, I was afraid of playing something like rook b8. I thought this would be a big blunder because of g4. And now, you know, if I take, he just wins my rook here, so I'll just be losing. And yeah, I thought my opponent was going for those tricks, although it's funny that g4 is never a threat. Like here, the computer says f6. I mean, what is f6? Like, what is going on? But yeah, okay, I played king d7 to avoid g4. Here my opponent gave me a check on d4. I went back to e8, and now my opponent, you know, improves his bishop with bishop e6. A very nice move, attacking the pawn on a5 and forcing me to defending it. Although again, the engine doesn't care. It says c5. He moves it to, for example, rook e4. Just says rook c6, and yeah, says that black is better. Bishop takes on a5, rook a6, and you're gonna regain this pawn here. So yeah, I really didn't see all these tactics. I was just trying to play some simple chess, and I just defended the pawn, which is okay. Here my opponent played c5, and like my opponent actually improved this position massively, and I didn't really improve mine. I was just making some moves, probably some inaccuracies, and all of a sudden my opponent has a really strong bishop on b6, and my pieces are completely passive, and you know, the rook needs to keep defending the pawn here. The bishop doesn't really have much role in the game besides just trying to defend everything. And yeah, my king is also stuck here on e8. There's no way that I can really improve it. But okay, I mean, I felt like this probably should still be equal. I didn't really see a way for my opponent to you know, to just break my fortress here. Okay, I played bishop d5, g3, bishop e6, h4. And just bishop g4, my pawn start improving his king, c3, okay, bishop e6, king e3, bishop g4, king f4, bishop e6. My opponent went back to e3, I went back to g4, my opponent went back to f4. I played bishop e6, and at this point, you know, I think we still had a lot of time on the clock, probably like 40 something minutes. Yeah, 40 something minutes, I would say, that we had on the clock. And yeah, I was just still walking around, and I went to grab another coffee. This is actually important for the story of the tournament. I know, like, I went to the coffee machine, and the coffee was, was served in a big cup, but the coffee was just really small. I could just, drink it really quickly, and I thought, okay, I mean, I can take a lot of these coffees because they are so like small. So uh, I'm used to drinking bigger cups, like filled with coffee. So I thought, okay, I mean, just gonna drink like 2 or 3 coffees. I mean, it's gonna be a long day anyway, so no problem. Uh, that is very stupid because, like, if there's like a low amount of coffee, it is like very powerful. I don't know how to explain it in English, but you know what I mean. Like, 6, my opponent plays king g5, and when my opponent started bringing his king in, I realized that my opponent is gonna like have the perfect pieces, and he's just gonna infiltrate my position and kind of, suffocate me. But this position that we are getting here with the king on g7, like, this is ridiculous. Like, chess is so weird. Chess is such a dumb game. Sorry for all the chess fans. I mean, how can this be equal? Like, let's just compare all the pieces of my opponent and my pieces. Let's look at the kings first. My king is super passive on the starting square on e8. My opponent's king is so active that it's almost on my back rank. Okay, the king is 10 times better. His king is 10 times better than mine. Let's look at the bishops here. Okay, my bishop is fine. His bishop is also fine. And no, his bishop is actually way stronger, I would say, because it's pressuring a5 and is also controlling the important d8 square. Okay, my bishop is also good because it's protecting the f7 pawn. Is also, has some scope here. So, okay, my bishop is fine. Okay. Rooks. I mean, just my opponent's rook is very strong, just super active, and my rook is just stuck defending a pawn. So all his pieces are better than mine, but still, this is like a fortress. There's nothing really he can do as long as I don't blunder hugely. So, okay, this is very funny, this position. Like, what is this? Okay. I just keep moving my bishop, and yeah, here after rook f2, okay, I can't really bring the bishop back on g4. Yeah, maybe I could just play something like bishop f5, but I was just, okay, let's keep it simple. Let's play the rook now, rook a6, and okay, I'm just making a waiting move, nothing more than that. I'm not threatening anything. Here my opponent plays rook b2, and I bring the rook back to a8. And yeah, my opponent plays rook b1, keep attacking the rook. And we repeat this position here. My opponent plays rook d2, okay, he's threatening checkmate, so I better watch out. Okay, rook back to a8. Rook b2, and here I didn't really want to go rook a6 because maybe bishop c7 then and starts getting weird. So okay, I played king d7. It's funny because I always have a piece that I can move. I'm never in zugzwang. Like, if I'm not moving my bishop, I can move my rook. If I'm not moving my rook or my bishop, I can move my king. And okay, my opponent's king is kind of stuck on g7, not doing anything because my rook guards the 8th rank. So okay, king d7, rook d2, king e8, and bishop c7. I guess my opponent was trying something, trying to put me in a Zugzwang here. But yeah, just bishop c4, and after bishop e6 here, my opponent offered me a draw, and I completely accepted immediately because, yeah, I mean, that's all I wanted. I just wanted to draw him. So yeah, I got what I wished for. You know, I totally played for the draw, and I got it with amazing preparation by my side before the game, and the rest was not smooth defense, but was good enough to claim a draw. But, yeah, it was very nice. I was having a pretty good tournament. So yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Bye bye.